Hey Sinead, maybe first and foremost, the last time I spoke to you at one of these events was 2 years ago, and I remember you saying at that time you'd come out of the club final defeat and you were really considering whether you wanted to pack the whole thing in. Obviously, unfortunately, disappointment again before Christmas, so how has the reaction been to the defeat this time around?
Yeah, obviously really disappointed. As a team, we felt that we didn't perform on the day. More Abbey were 100% the better team, deserved the win. But whenever you lose an All Ireland final, it's going to be something that's really disappointing. I suppose I'm looking at it this year. It's a blank canvas in terms of trying to do well in county and well in clubs. So just trying to get the body right and focus on. There's 14 new players in the Dublin setup, so you don't have too much time to kind of dwell on it. Our next game is Donegal on Sunday, so I think that's kind of just trying to get back fit as possible and trying to get a position on Dublin, and hopefully with our club can do well again this year in Dublin.
So there was never a sense this time that you might take a break or anything like that?
No, I think it's different. I suppose maybe I've been there for a long time, and it's I think it's a huge honour to play, and it was a different feeling this year. 100% wanted to come back, so I'm not too sure what the difference was, but really looking forward to the league starting and everything kind of getting going again.
And what about the back-to-back All-Irelands? Because obviously you joined the panel in 2011.
Yeah.
So it was, there'd obviously been disappointments there. Trying to put back-to-back was massive, but you managed to do it.
Yeah, that was huge, and I suppose that heartbreak of all those years, really keeps you taking it. And if you taste success, you really want that to be, for the team and stuff like that, for us to try and do best. But again, we're back to league, we're playing Donegal, it's winter football. We're trying to get fit as possible and trying to make sure that we're playing on top of our game. And I think you can't really think about the two in a row or anything like that. As I said, there's 14 new girls in the setup this year, so it is, as everyone and as every player says, it's just a new start for us.
You came out of the club final with a slight injury, were you? Is everything okay in that regard?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the body right. I won't be around for the start of it for a while, just trying to get a leg sorted and stuff like that. But again, you just want to get your body right to make sure that you're trying to get the best as you can.
Sure. Speaking a little bit about Mick, because obviously there was some talk about him going to Roscommon and various different things, switching codes, going to the men's game. How much have you enjoyed working with him since he's come into the Dublin setup?
Mick's brilliant, and I'm not too sure, those rumours are going around, but he's a Dublin man through and through. Our whole management team are absolutely brilliant. Every single one of them has a role. Huge respect for what Mick has done. He's really stepped up Dublin and improved us as players, and is always kind of pushing us to be the best that we can. And again, it's the third year that the setup has been there, so we have to look at those extra inches and how we can be, perform better as a team, and how players can kind of step up and improve themselves as players too.
Yeah. So what has Mick Bowen brought that's a little bit different from other managers?
I think Mick's excellent in terms of he really focuses on improving us, the skill set in the players, and he really wants us to play with the shackles off and express ourselves as footballers. So I think that's one thing in terms of the skill set, to kick on right and left foot. That's an expectation on the team, and kind of to be the best footballers that we can. We're representing Dublin, and whoever gets a chance to be on the team, I suppose we want to make sure that we're trying to be the best footballers that we can.
You mentioned Ken Robinson there. I saw an interview from just before the All-Ireland last year, and he was talking about positivity in the camp. And he said, whether it's December or January and the team is starting up again, you're always coming in with a smile on your face. He named you particularly. So this time of the year, is it a time of the year you enjoy, or is it just a case of, as you say, recovering from injury, trying to get a bit of fitness into the legs and really sort of having May or June as a target in your head?
Yeah, I think I suppose there's so many different people sometimes come in training and stuff like that, are in good moods or bad moods. But as I said, there's 14 new players, so there's a really good kind of buzz in terms of getting to know people, and I think that especially the gym is a good time, I suppose, that people get a chance to chat to people and everything like that when you're in training. So the atmosphere is great, and we're looking forward to Donegal, Croker, so it's like there's a lot of good things to look forward to.
Yeah, and speak to me a little bit about the Donegal game, because I appreciate you won't be involved, but the 2020 campaign, excuse me, it's gotten so big over the winter period. What do you know about it, and are you behind it?
Yeah, 20 for 20, it's trying to increase attendance, participation and media coverage by 2020 by 20%. So I think it's brilliant. It's kind of opened up a conversation in terms of that kind of rocked the media world. It got a lot of coverage in terms of, wanting to see role models in terms of all women's sports all over. So I think that ladies gaelic football are doing really well in terms of the role models and the promotion, especially with Lidl. They've invested 3.5 million since 2016, which is massive. I think today they're launching $250,000 into secondary schools because it's at the age of 14 that 1 in 2 people drop off team sports. So if they're targeting secondary schools, that's more players that are going to continue to play football. So I really think it's a really good campaign, and especially with the likes of a lot of ambassadors, sponsors getting involved, it's good to kind of promote it. I know when I was growing up, you want to see, there wasn't many female role models, I suppose. So now you can see kind of different sports that there's role models stepping up and are being promoted, and I think it's brilliant.
And can you see, when you go to school, say, after an All-Ireland victory, can you see an increase in people who recognise you, more girls who want to play? I remember when I was playing football when I was younger, you'd have maybe 2 or 3 girls in a panel or whatever it might be, up to 9 or 10, and then that would be it. And now you see girls panels at that age, so there's an increase in numbers.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I think because I for Foxrock Cabinteely, I played for Cabinteely. There was only maybe a few girls when I was in primary school playing, and now we all kind of do the schools run around your area, and you walk in and there's so many girls from Foxrock Cabinteely, from Crokes, and they all play football. So really, I can kind of really see it definitely in primary schools, and it's brilliant. And I think it's especially important for young girls to see female role models to come in with the cup and stuff like that. So yeah, it is great to see a massive difference.
Just maybe a final one for me, because I know Nigel wants to come in terms of the league itself. Obviously with Leinster maybe dwindling somewhat during your career, there's only one game now, unfortunately. How much more important is the league than it would have been maybe 5 years ago? Yeah,
that's really important, because at the moment now you're up against the top teams, and if you only have one game in Leinster, and you're if you're successful, or if you lose, you're going into a quarter final, or else you're going into a knockout. So the league is really important. I think it's a great opportunity for for the team for people to get a spot on the team and stuff like that. So we're going to see how things unfold throughout the year, but it's really good. I suppose we're playing Donegal first, and then our next one is Tipperary, and Tipperary are intermediate actually this year because they got knocked out for senior. But in terms of the skill set and the players that they have, they're excellent. Aisling Maloney is probably one of the most skillful players in the game at the moment, and we're really looking forward to that game also.
Looking back on last year, very successful year for Dublin, maiden Division 1 title, Leinster title, All-Ireland title. We're back into January now, it's another clean slate, it's go again. High standards were set last year from Dublin. How are you going to raise that again?
Yeah, I suppose it's a new year and it's a new challenge that a lot of teams have, and it's trying to get that extra edge, and it's up to the players to step up, to increase the expectations. It's also for, hopefully, I know our managers will be doing everything to try and make sure that, there's new drills and that we're improving ourselves. So it's a long journey at the time, I suppose even in the league with the weather and stuff like that, it's all about kind of maintaining the ball and, trying to make sure that you make less mistakes than the other team. So that's one thing that we're going to try and, target, is just to make sure that we're concentrating and not giving away the ball in the start of the games in the league.
Looking at last year, you got through to the All-Ireland final, means that, you went longer than some other teams did, in the year, so they will be back training earlier than Dublin.
Yeah.
I know you're not long back from the team holiday as well in Andorra. So does that put Dublin at a slight disadvantage in the earlier rounds where teams might have a little bit more work done?
I suppose even there's people training before Christmas, in terms of new players coming on board, and you're an athlete, so you want to be coming back as fit as you can. So I know that there's been girls who've been doing their own thing even if they weren't involved with Dublin, but I suppose you're not really too sure where the standards are with other teams until you play them. So it will be interesting to see how the Donegal game goes, and I suppose then you can kind of compare fitness levels and see where we are in terms of the standards.
I was reading an interview there with Noelle Healy, and she was talking about the actual training and how it's changed since Mick came in, but she was also saying that it's very player driven now, and the players took that on board themselves. How did that come about? Was that a conversation that the players sit down and say, look, we've got to drive this ourselves?
I think, as if you're on a senior county team, you know what I mean, it has to be driven by the players, and like the management would always kind of encourage that. I think we're really lucky in Dublin. There's a lot of leaders that step up at different times. There's a lot of different voices that kind of contribute to it at different times, and I think that's, I suppose a huge thing why perhaps that we have done well is that, we're not, I suppose, reliant on a few players to step up and talk. It's kind of, there's a good mix there between experience and also the young players coming up. We're trying to create an environment where you feel that everyone has the right to speak. So I think that's something that we've really focused on. It's been good.
And you're saying there's a lot of new players in the panel this year. I know there's always this lure of travelling for some of the players, particularly the young ones that might want to go on a J1 or just go travelling for the year, so they take a year out. Is it important that you always have that sort of talent coming through from underage?
Yeah, and that's always kind of the case over the years. And I suppose when you sign up for Dublin or you sign up for any county team, it has to be you that wants to do it because you understand the commitment levels that come in. So it is always I suppose a challenge that happens to teams throughout the country, and then I suppose once people make the decision, you just have to focus on who you have in the camp and how that we can improve and go ahead with that.
And you're saying, look, you're getting yourself right as well from an injury. You had an extremely long season, like you ran right through December because you were in the Club All Ireland as well. And there's other players who've been at the coalface for Dublin for many years. Is it a case of having to ease players back in, particularly if they've had such a long season like yourself, or maybe some of the players who've been around for 8 or 9 years, particularly for the early part of the season, if the weather's not great, and the footing's not great, and it's just sort of getting the rest right so the players are in top form when it comes to championship.
Yeah, I think it's subjective, and that decision is coming down to physios and managers in terms of how the players are, and there's also a mental factor to take into account. Some people might have had a few long years, they might be older, or they might have been their first year and had a long year and they just need a mental break. So I suppose that's always kind of down to the managers or the physio's decision in terms of how and when players are coming back and kind of what level, or how much, if they should be doing the hard ones or not. So it's kind of subjective, and it's kind of up to, I suppose, managers and physios to make that call.
And looking at the league again, as Peter said, there is a huge gap between the actual league final and the Leinster final, so it has become more of a priority for Dublin to go as late into that competition as possible, because that is a huge gap between one competitive game to the next one.
Yeah, and I think that's that is always a fear. I suppose in Dublin we have club matches around that time too, so we are kind of keeping some of the levels, and our in-house matches, we try to keep them as competitive as possible. So I know our management team will make sure that we are keeping up to scratch, but there is a gap there. But I think in terms of the county board, they feed it in with the club games too, which kind of adds to it and kind of makes sure that everyone maybe goes back to their club is still getting good game time. So I know management kind of did deal with that long break very well.
And it's Donegal on Saturday. You played them last year in the opening game as well, up in Donegal. Dublin came away with the win that day as well.
Yeah.
What are you expecting from them this Saturday?
Yeah, it was a really tight match. I think they were up at the start of it, and then we came around in the end. Donegal, they're a very ferocious team. They're very skillful and stuff like that. And I think, they usually come back very fit in terms of the league. So we're looking forward to it, and it'll be good to see where our benchmark is in terms of how Dublin have been training so far.
And Lidl, they announced last year another 3 years of sponsorship. How important have they been for the promotion of ladies football?
Really important, I think, especially with grassroots. They're giving 3.5 million to it, and this year they're putting $250,000 into the secondary schools. You want to be going through grassroots because that's going to be the future of the sport. Definitely with their promotions ahead of each All-Ireland final has been brilliant. I think it's really helped in terms of knocking that figure each year. So hopefully throughout the league we'll get as many people to the games, and our championship games also. If all the Dublin fans, it'd be great to see them at our games.